When you're looking at PureSystems and the PureSystems announcement, I need to point out that really this is not a classic product announcement in that normally you have a product X which is coming to end of life, etc., and you replace it with product Y. What we're doing with PureSystems is really announcing a new ecosystem. Okay, so what you're seeing with these initial products of parts of hardware and software is some placeholders, and which we will grow over time. And it'll not just be IBM growing this over time, it'll also be our business partners, ISVs, etc. So it is an ecosystem that today really, or the announcement date today, is sort of like the end of the beginning, right? And you will see a very rich ecosystem built around it. And it's also important to realize that this is a long-term investment by IBM. We have chosen a chassis design as the base node, the base system, because our experience of chassis designs in the past with products like Blade Center showed us that we can give a consistent IT environment, in the case of Blade Center, in excess of 10 years, right? So this is a long-term project. It is, I think, a very rich project because it covers so many different areas. Now, business partners and channel partners ask, well, I've seen PureSystems, it's an appliance, yeah? And where's the room and the opportunity for me, right? The answer to that, really, firstly, is it's not an appliance, okay? It is a building block approach. So you can start with the base chassis, yeah, the Flex System chassis, and that's one starting point, and that is very traditional starting point of classic infrastructure. You could also use the IBM Flex System, Pure Flex System, which has the basic hardware unit plus the OS, hypervisor, and cloud management layer. And really at the extreme end is the IBM Pure Application System. Which covers these two components plus the middleware. So it's very important for a business partner to realize that what we're designing is different starting points, right? And depending on where you want to focus, where you think you can add value to your customer, then you can choose where do you want to start. Some business partners will make money on configuring the hardware, building classic infrastructure. That's fine. That's when you'd use this module. Others will see customers asking about clouds, that I can do this on Amazon for $21 a day, etc. Now, to get to that sort of price point, right, you need to have the scale, right? And you may want to be able to deploy private clouds quickly for a customer or within your own organization. Here, this machine and this idea may be more help, because then you can focus on what's running on top of that cloud, which is the application, and that is of the value to the customer, and the infrastructure below it is provided by the Pure Flex system. Another set of business partners who are working at this layer, where you're wiring up the middleware and tying that to the application, right, don't really want to focus on anything below, because that is a huge job in itself to get that to work and map it to a customer situation. Okay? So the first thing I want to point out, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, right? In our systems approach to customers, and it's not a one-size-fits-all approach to business partners. The second point I want to make about the opportunities that this platform provides is this hardware unit is like an encapsulation, or is like, as I said, the DNA of a data center. So not only is it containing servers, it also contains the networking and the storage, right? So as a business partner, I can offer a more complete solution, a more contained solution to my customer. Rather than just selling one piece of the story, I can really start at looking at selling more of the environment. The other key element in this design is we have a common management across all of these components. Because that's another problem that business partners say, hey, what about the skill level I need to manage this? And we've approached that in two different ways. One is a common management layer across the key components. And the second way we've addressed that for business partners is by offering patterns which are available on our website, which are best practices, right, to help business partners, customers, etc., optimize, deploy, and structure their middleware application layer, right? So these machines, when we talked about expert integrated systems, the expertise lies not in the integration that we only do in the hardware, but also this expertise which makes the machines incredibly flexible. These patterns are not only IBM patterns, but patterns available from other ISVs. The third interesting point, if I was a business partner, is what this machine allows me to do is build a complete solution stack for a customer, right? I can take components that I know work together and are fully integrated, and I can build my own stack, build my own solution. In these cases, I would be adding software layers. In here, it would be how I wire this stack together, right? What modules I choose, how they operate, etc. And the neat thing about this management layer and how this works is I don't have to focus on things like how I should deploy technology, what is the best place to put this workload. All of that is handled by the system, okay? So you can focus on what I believe is the system that provides the most value, that is the high end of the stack. How does this compare to the competition? Or haven't I seen this from vendor X or vendor Y? Okay? The key point here is with the expert integrated systems and PureSystems underneath that umbrella, is we're looking at bringing together all the strengths of IBM. And one of the unique assets that IBM has is expertise in hardware, software, and services. So this is an amazing project for us because that's what we're bringing together in this unit. So when you look at the competition for this product, you've got the classic hardware vendors, right? They will compete with us on component technologies within this unit. Then you've got other vendors who are saying, I'm integrating the networking, etc. Nobody in that space covers both the hardware and the application layers. Okay? So that's a unique. we're not just focused on the hardware. We can take it from the hardware right up to the middleware and application. Okay? So versus other hardware components you see on the market, this is going a step above it. So the integration is magical enough on itself, but actually mapping on the software takes it to another dimension. The other layer of competition you get, and people look at, is, hey, what about appliances available from specific companies, software companies? Okay? In that scenario, our advantage is that our unit is flexible. It is not locked in to a vendor or a line of thinking. You can choose what we believe is the best stack, but if you want to do it yourself, you have the choice to do it whichever way, whichever stack on top. Okay? So versus the software vendors, our advantage is primarily in the ability to deliver the hardware and the operating layer, knowing that this is bulletproof technology that we normally use in classic infrastructure design, right? And versus the hardware vendors, which are classic competition as well, we can go and take it to another level in terms of the middleware and the application layer. The last thing I want to do is to take you around the machine itself, okay? Because in classic sort of appliance thinking, you build a software stack and you use the simplest machine possible. What we've done here is really, even right at the node level, I think we've built a very, very special machine. And let me just draw it for you, and you'll see photographs of the live machines in our data center downstairs. As I said, we started with the chassis design. And we chose the chassis design because of our experience with blade systems, and we realized that a chassis gave customers a consistent format, a consistent architecture, and we knew if we got the chassis design correct, we can go span a massive period of time. I mean, if you think about it, 10 years in the x86 market is a phenomenal period. And we've done it, on 2 different chassis now. So we started with the chassis idea. We decided that we needed if you're planning for a longevity of design, one of the key things you need to have is space. So inside this base chassis, you can fit 14 nodes. Okay? And the height of this thing is 10U. These nodes, basically, right, they pull out, and we've got enough space in there to not only support the classic Intel microprocessors in there, but all the memory that is possible for those microprocessors to support. So these nodes, even though they're packaged this way, they have the similar properties to, say, a 1U or 2U machine. Okay? We've designed this with enough space, enough power and cooling, so that you can take not only x86 microprocessors, but you can put power processors, right? Full function power processors. You can imagine this whole compute unit could be having power and x86. It could be an application platform for like 2-tier platforms where you have your database running maybe on your power node, your application stacks running on your x86 nodes. So it's a very, very flexible design. You can have your node being that size, you could have a node that spans that way, you could have a node that spans more than that, right? Very, very flexible. The other thing is we've integrated, it gives you the option, you can choose to have it, storage. So it could be in the form of the controller node as well as the disks if you wish to do it that way. But again, our key point here was flexibility. Some customers would say, no, I don't want to use IBM storage, right? So what we've done here is this node here could be providing the virtualization, and then that could be driving storage external to the product, to the chassis, And that storage could be from different vendors. In the back of the chassis, we have slots that contains all the power, cooling, and also vertical slots. I'm sorry, my diagrams tend to be more Picasso than Michelangelo, but that contains the switching elements, right? So really, this is like an entire data center in a box. And it's the detail. It's the focus on detail. As I said, we've had a lot of experience of chassis design, and we noticed certain things. One thing we noticed on old chassis designs is, okay, you put all your processors in the front, you pull the air through using blowers at the back, and so what's basically happening is you get cold air coming in, the processors and memory heat that air, and so what happens to your network parts? They're getting cooked. They're getting hot air over them. What we've done with this machine is simple things, right? This is the innovation. You know, IBM does a lot of R&D, billions of pounds spent on research. But a simple innovation like this, here on this design, we have, as well as pulling the air in normally through the front, we have a vent. This vent takes the cold air and puts it directly onto the switches. Okay? What does it mean for a customer? It means, as you get high-speed switch technology, it means the lifetimes of these switches are improved and the capacities and the performance because you know you can cool them. Previously, you had to work saying, hey, I have to use this hot air coming off the back of these processors. Okay? So there's little, the detail is impeccable on this product. We researched, we went and saw machines at customer site, and we found customers had put labels on the machine to tell what this server was. Putting a label looks like a very innocent thing to do, logical thing to do. But what you're actually doing is blocking the airflow. So on these machines, we have little tags that slip out like this. They fold in and fold out. So you write what the machine does on that tag, and you don't obstruct the airflow. Okay? So a key point of this machine was the attention to detail, that we're going to be building something that is powerful in its own right, but maybe a part of a monster type system, right? It could be multiple racks, etc. So we are envisaging this design to go from, let's say, covering a small business type requirement all the way to being a substantial a part of an infrastructure inside of large data centers. When you talk about PureSystems, you know, you talk about these sort of machines, you give a world view. You know, you sort of say it's going to take over the world. But I need to point out to business partners a couple of other things. This is a part of our product line, okay? We have mainframes, power, X, storage, okay? We're introducing this new family. It does not mean the whole world is going to go to this family. Maybe we'd like it to, but the reality of the situation is the breadth of our offering is still there, right? This will not answer everybody's problems, but in some situations where customers see the value of integration, the value of expertise, for a specific problem of theirs, this machine could be ideal. And we've got to be humble here to understand that we have our design ideas and where we think it's going to be, but it's going to be the market that decides, customers who decide how this machine will fit best in their environment, and it could be one piece of technology in this that drives their interest. Okay? We've done a very broad brush in the design sense to make it incredibly flexible, incredibly open, so that we feel we will cover a set of requirements for a large set of customers.